The FBI and Utah police postponing a news conference, citing, quote, rapid developments in our investigation, end quote. And now a source tells CNN that FBI Director Kash Patel is en route to Utah to assist the investigation. Hello, everyone. I'm Casey Hunt. Welcome to the arena. Those rapid developments coming just hours after they released these photos of a person of interest connected to the case. The person seen wearing a hat, sunglasses, a long sleeve shirt. Let's be clear, the FBI says this is a person of interest. They have not yet identified them formally as a suspect. Earlier in the day, police announced that they've recovered what they believe to be the murder weapon, a high-powered rifle alongside ammunition and a screwdriver in a wooded area near the crime scene. Sources tell CNN that the rifle and the ammunition were marked with phrases related to cultural issues. We are still working through what those phrases and cultural issues are, but authorities are analyzing them as they try to identify the suspect. The FBI is now offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to their arrest.
Any attack on the First Amendment is an attack on the very foundation of our democracy. That is why we will relentlessly pursue this case and the shooter until we find him.
All right, our panel is here, but then we're going to get started with our CNN team. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez, national correspondent Nick Watt, who is on the campus of Utah Valley University. CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes is with us, and CNN's senior law enforcement analyst, the former deputy director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, is here. And Kristen, I do want to start with you because any minute now, the vice president, J.D. Vance, set to land in Utah. We now know Kash Patel is also on his way there. What else are you hearing from this administration as they grapple with the death of a close friend and, of course, a key political ally?
Well, Casey, look, there's still a lot of grief, there's a lot of sadness, and there's also a lot of anger. But one thing to point out about what we're seeing with Vice President J.D. Vance, I mean, they are clearly treating Charlie Kirk like he's not just part of the administration, but that he was part of their actual families. Vice President J.D. Vance was supposed to be in New York on 9/11 to commemorate that. Instead, he flew to Utah while there is an investigation into a assassin who targeted a conservative activist, a friend of his, who is still on the loose, so not ideal security-wise, to meet with Kirk's family and then bring Kirk's body back to Arizona, where he is from, on Air Force Two. You obviously are seeing this enhancement from the FBI, bringing out the director to have him on the ground as well. They are treating this in every aspect as though Kirk was a member of their own family. And in some ways, when you talk to these administration officials and these Trump advisors, they feel like he was. They do feel this sense of loyalty to one another, a very small, tight-knit group of people who has been with Trump for so many years. And they believe that Kirk was part of that. So that's why you're seeing such a difficulty with this White House as they grapple with this. We just heard from Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. She did an interview with Scott Jennings on his radio show where she said she talked to all of them last night, all of the staffers, saying, go home and hug your family and then speak louder, because that's what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. This is hitting them all very hard. And it's something that I'm talking to a number of these Trump advisors who say they're still processing it.
No, of course, incredibly difficult to grapple with on so many levels for them. Evan Perez, the news conference that was scheduled for this afternoon was postponed because of these, quote, rapid developments. What might that mean? What are your sources telling you about the investigation?
Well, we know right now that there's still no arrest. And so whatever rapid developments are, do not involve an arrest. And so the FBI is still grappling with really trying to get the public to provide tips. That's the reason why you've seen those new images. I think there was a debate behind the scenes because, you know, investigators tend to want to keep these details to themselves while they work the investigative details, the evidence that they have at hand. But it might be an indication that they really have run out of those, and so they need the public to provide more tips. And so that's where we're at. The biggest piece of evidence right now so far is really the firearm that has been recovered. You know, we talked a little bit about, and you mentioned those markings, those etchings that were on the firearm. And I should note that, you know, those were from initial reports from the field that some analysts have been interpreting what they mean. Until there's an arrest, we don't know exactly what those mean, and so that's part of the reason why I think investigators are hesitant about drawing any conclusions about this, Casey. And at this point, again, because time is of the essence, they need to find a way to find this person before they perhaps carry out another shooting. I mean, that's the other possibility here that investigators have to keep in mind, that this person was doing this and may have other possible targets in mind. And so that is also a top concern for investigators. But the reason, the fact that you have Kash Patel going to the scene, Dan Bongino, I'm told, is also headed there. He's the deputy director of the FBI. What it tells you is that this is a high priority for the FBI, for this administration, and it's for those reasons that Kristen just laid out there just a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, no, of course. And let's bring in, on that note, Nick Watt. You're on the ground in Utah. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from a community that is, of course, mourning, but also concerned about some of the things that Evan was just laying out? There's a gunman on the loose.
Well, local officials were quick to reassure people here, to say this was a targeted killing. They don't believe that the public is at risk. Now, listen, before Charlie Kirk came here, this campus was divided. A lot of people didn't want him to come. There was a petition trying to stop him coming. Now, this campus, although it's not in session, these students are kind of united in their condemnation of violence. It's been an interesting morning. It's now, by the way, 24 hours plus since the shooting. First thing this morning, we were told there were some key developments overnight. We were told that they had this good video of the suspect, that they were using technology, and they were very confident that they were going to extract an identification, an ID from that video. A couple of hours later, they clearly hadn't managed to do that, and that's when they released these images. Then we had this press conference that was supposed to happen about an hour ago, postponed because of rapid developments, then the $100,000 reward. Meantime, there are local officers as well as federal agents combing the area to the north, to the other side of this campus, which is where officials say this suspect fled. They are going door to door asking for ring camera video. They are trying to piece together his movements. And as the FBI special agent said this morning, we don't know how far he's gone. And remember, it's been 24 hours. So, we were inside the campus building earlier, and it was interesting to see some of the aftermath of the reaction. Of course, people are conditioned when they hear a gunshot to believe that there are going to be more. I was walking through inside the building, and you could see a banana peel, a half-empty bag of chips, people who had just left their stuff and run. There were chairs knocked over. You could see the aftermath of that panic. Meantime, as you say, there is thoughts for the family, who we are now told Charlie Kirk's wife and children were actually here. There is a small memorial, and as you say, Charlie Kirk's body will be taken from here in Utah to Arizona later. So shock, and as I say, a community that was divided over whether Kirk should come, now pretty much united in the belief that he should not have been killed. Back to you.
Nick, can I also ask you about this spot shadow video of someone on the roof from yesterday? What do we know about that?
Yeah. Well, nothing further. I mean, you can see it was shot from inside the building right after the shot was fired, and you see this dark figure running across the roof. Now, that roof, we saw police tape up there later. We believe that that is the position from which the shooter loosed off that one round that killed Charlie Kirk. About 150 yards, clear line of sight across one other roof. Then local officials tell us they believe that this gunman turned, ran, jumped down from the roof, and as I say, fled through the neighborhood to the north. That is where they found this weapon. That is where they are concentrating all of their investigations right now. Multiple different locations. We've been told that they basically, the crime scenes are dependent on where the victim and the suspect traveled. And they have managed to put together a bit of a timeline. You know, they now say that the suspect arrived just off campus 11:52. The Charlie Kirk event started at 12. This is all local time. 12:20 is when that round was fired. And, you know, you can see from the image, as we were told this morning, that this suspect is college age and, as we were told, could easily have blended in with the 3,000 or so people who were here on this campus to listen to Charlie Kirk and to debate with Charlie Kirk. So that is the focus right now, this photo and anything that they can find in that neighborhood over there. But listen, as I say, the FBI, the last we heard from them, they said, we don't know how far he's gone. 24 hours plus now.